Yesterday, President Trump finally released what everyone has been asking him to release.
Nice.
George Santos, the former Republican congressman who had pled guilty to fraud and something called aggravated identity theft, which I think is when you push someone into a closet and switch clothes with them.
So I'm not complaining. I didn't know how to take it. I'm still sort of blown away by it. Trump and Mamdani met in the White House. I don't know if this feels like...
Grab a fire extinguisher. Colin Jost and Josh Johnson just roasted Trump so thoroughly, the teleprompter filed for workers' comp and the stage lights tried to flee the building. This wasn't a comedy segment, it was a public demolition. Punchlines exploded, comebacks were MIA, and the audience may still be screaming into the void. Buckle up, because the wreckage is about to be unpacked.
Well, President Trump traveled to the Middle East this week, and if I were him, I would have just stayed there because it looked awesome. Trump arrived in Saudi Arabia, where he was greeted with a lavender carpet which matched the color of his tie and also the length.
Reporting that U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi told President Trump back in May that his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files.
You're best friends. You're best friends with a pedophile for 10 years, one time, and the world never forgets it.
Somewhere between late-night glitz and political chaos, Jost and Johnson unleashed a roast so intense, the studio thermostat begged for mercy. Each joke landed with the precision of a NASA launch, except the observers weren't engineers, and yes, many were terrified.
While traveling on Air Force One to the Middle East to celebrate the ceasefire, President Trump told reporters, "I don't think there's anything that's going to get me into heaven." Then he paused for 10 full minutes, waiting for someone to say, "That's not true." Because Trump can't go to heaven. He's far too busy down here, running hell.
Trump strolled into the comedy blast zone expecting home field energy. Instead, he received commentary so powerful it turned the applause sign into a hazard light. The audience didn't laugh, they short-circuited.
Want Mamdani to win at all. President was over here tweeting hard. Tweeting like you could tell he was pressing the buttons extra hard on all caps all the time. Wanted to let you know he meant business. Ain't nobody playing.
This wasn't comedy. It was a sprint onto a runaway treadmill that flung Trump straight into the wall of accountability. Every joke hit before the last had finished echoing. Sarcasm so dense, the floorboards might need therapy. 1 second, he owned the spotlight. The next, he was in a crater of ego combustion.
Rolled out a mobile McDonald's truck for President Trump's visit, featuring Saudi Arabia's most popular new burger, the McJournalist. The Democratic National Committee protested President Trump's plans to accept a $400 million luxury jet from Qatar by flying a banner over Mar-a-Lago reading Qatar-a-Lago. It's the kind of hilarious stunt that makes you realize why the Democrats will never...
Backstage, an intern probably tried documenting the roast in a spreadsheet before resigning, typing "Bro IDK" repeatedly as the audio equipment struggled under unprecedented levels of laughter. Colin didn't slow down. No air, no sympathy, no courtesy. It wasn't a roast. It was a slow-motion implosion executed by comedians who smile while slicing at the speed of light. The audience didn't clap. They combusted. Some might have briefly entered another dimension. Scientists could study the footage and publish dissertations on how precision sarcasm bends space-time. Trump sat in the storm, metaphorical lightning striking every ego-marked target. The chaos had legs, sprinting across the studio. Colin's material was so scorching, fire codes probably need rewriting. Every sentence stacked like a comedy avalanche. Cameras shook trying to keep up, and microphones gave up mid-sentence.
John Bolton, who wants people to stop coming up to him to order chicken, has become the third person on President Trump's enemies list to be indicted. And you know you aren't living your life right when you keep an actual list of your enemies. At least that's what my therapist told me. So now she's on the list too. Hundreds of people in Portland sent a message to ICE to leave their city by riding their bikes naked through the rain. And you're not going to believe this, it didn't work.
Then Josh stepped in with observational precision, sharp enough to cut concrete. Every line built tension like someone finally lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. His delivery was smooth, elegant, and devastatingly destructive. A polite wave followed by a slow-motion table flip. If sarcasm were a medal event, Josh just earned gold. Meanwhile, Trump tried to respond with his signature overconfident bravado, hand gestures, facial expressions, deep breaths, but every attempt backfired, gifting more material to the comedians.
He was tweeting, and not tweeting, like not tweet because he got his own thing, he got that Truth Social thing, but like nobody, I don't know anybody who downloaded it, so then everything he tweet on there ends up on Twitter, so he basically still tweeting, but it's just like he has a platform now where he's like the only influencer. Like, I don't know a single other truther. You know what I mean? Like, no one else I know is posting truths but him.
The pacing never faltered. Colin dropped a punchline, Josh escalated, and the audience exploded into disbelief. Jokes fell like dominoes made of dynamite. Once the first hit, total inferno ensued. Even the camera seemed to whisper backstage, "Please slow down." Editors likely paused 20 times just to breathe through the meltdown. Watching Trump absorb reality was like watching someone repeatedly plug in a USB upside down. Confidence high, results catastrophic. By the finale, not even the iconic eagle balloon could withstand the altitude.
Ethical experts are also warning that Trump may owe political favors to countries who give him lavish gifts. But based on the way he left the Middle East, I think I know how Trump is going to pay them back. Just in the past 2 days, investors have lost over $6 trillion. Money is leaving the stock market faster than Morgan Wallen at goodnight.
President Trump announced a tariff on all goods imported in.
By mid-show, Trump was metaphorically deflated. Physically present, but spiritually Googling how to respawn emotionally. There were no comebacks, no pivots, no rallying cries, just a hurricane of humor, sarcasm, and receipts from years of contradictions. Every moment built the comedic deconstruction seamlessly. Josh exposed fragility, while Colin's expressions said everything without words. The audience witnessed a magician revealing the trick and falling through the stage at the same time.
And so he's over here, you know, talking about how he's going to mobilize the National Guard if Zoran Mamdani wins, just like really wild stuff. Really hates the idea of him winning. Zoran calls himself a democratic socialist, and Trump was like, no, he's a communist. He's a communist in disguise. It's like, I don't even know what that means. That's... I don't know. That's okay, I guess. Man said free pre-K, and Trump was like, that must be communism. You know communists, you know those people that want everybody to eat, you know. He wants a city-run grocery store.
The roast became a psychological study. Trump, built on volume and unshakable self-belief, had his theatrics stripped away piece by piece. Colin dismantled the persona in real time, scaffolding collapsing until only bare ego remained. The audience wasn't just laughing, they were experiencing a cerebral rewiring. Then came the finale, a synchronized comedic thunderstrike from both comedians, landing without buildup, leaving the remaining pride utterly flattened.
Elected Donald Trump to run the country like a business, but it turns out he's running it like one of his businesses. I love that you can intentionally ruin the economy and still get to stay president. It's like if you drunk drove your car through the window of the DMV and they were like, license renewed. It's insane. This was the worst week for the stock market since the summer of 2020. But you have to remember, back then, the president...
When the applause finally erupted, all that remained was metaphorical smoke and a man unsure whether to stand or pretend he intended to sit all along. Jost and Johnson didn't gloat. They simply stood, perfectly aware of their accomplishment. The audience laughed in a way that becomes legendary. Now the clip lives on, replayed like championship games or historic speeches. Not for politics, but for witnessing a roast so complete it resets the cultural meter. Trump continues his loud, confident presence, but that night belongs to two comedians who reduced an entire persona to confetti without him even speaking.
Look at the chemistry they have. And this is genuinely unfortunate and unfair to Trump, but the way the camera highlighted the two of them makes it look like a giant heart on a kiss cam. What makes me feel terrible is I don't have a friend that I'm as close with as Trump was to Epstein, you know? They're making drawings for each other, laughing, showing up to weddings, going to shows together. The only way my friends hang out with me that much is if we're both holding...
The legacy is etched in digital stone. Precision jokes reshape reputation more effectively than speeches ever could. Colin exposed the hollow brand, humor did the heavy lifting, and the world responded predictably. Memes, edits, slow-motion analyses, viral breakdowns. Trump remains loud, unstoppable, and gesticulating. But that night, laughter won. The internet melted down. Timelines became bonfires, and suddenly everyone declared themselves experts on comedic implosions.
President Trump tried to rescue the economy from the disastrous policies of whoever was president last week. On Wednesday, Trump announced he was pausing most tariffs for 90 days. Now, 90 days may not seem like a long time, but remember, Trump has only been president for 82 days, and it already feels like a goddamn decade. Just hours before Trump paused the tariffs, he tried to calm investors by posting, "Be cool, everything is going..."